morning, everyone, and welcome to our town hall meeting today, April 24, 2020. And this is following on our meeting that we had last week, Friday. And we had some challenges. We again apologize for that. Well, we are good. We are ready to go. And thanks to the LTSU team in administration and the BCAT team in the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies. We have joining us this morning, your students out there, of course, joining us via YouTube and Instagram. We have the academic leaders joining us via Blackboard Collaborate. And here in President Conference Room, we have the senior management team, as well as the president of the Students' Union, Mr. Khalil Hutchinson, who is going to chair this morning's program. We have answered several questions before, and we'll be fielding questions via YouTube and Instagram. Already, I see the students, and I'll also be assisted by the Deputy President of the Students' Union, Robin Francis, who's going to help to channel the questions. Good morning again, and welcome. And I now hand over to the chair, Mr. Khalil Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. And I also like to welcome everyone to this our town hall meeting, and we sent apologies for last week. So in the interest of time, I'm going to hand over to our registrar, who will open in prayer.
Let us pray. Dear God, we are so thankful for today, a day that never was and will never be. And so we commit these moments to you, knowing that confidently that all things will be working together for our good and for your glory. We are mindful of the challenges of our nations, of our people, of our students, of all the persons in this university. And I pray, God, that in today, that we will, in some measure, provide those details that will be required so that we can move forward in a very amicable way. We thank you for your guidance, and again, commit this time to you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Dean. And I would like to introduce the panel so everyone is clear who is here. So we have with us our acting president, Professor Colin Giles. We have our acting deputy president, Dr. Haldane Johnson. We have our university's registrar, Mrs. Mercedes Dean. We have our AVP advances, Mr. Hector Wheeler. We have our chief IT officer, Mr. George Brown. And we have the deans via Blackboard Collaborate. So at this time, I'd like to invite our acting president to open with some remarks, give an overview of the university's position. So, Prof. Giles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hutchinson. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, students. Thank you all for being with us this morning at this very important town hall meeting, where we hope to further clarify some of the matters that need clarification and to further answer some of the questions that you have. Once again, I'd like to apologize for the fact that last week we were not able to have the town hall meeting as we had arranged, but you would have seen the video recording that we would have put out, and subsequently we would have put out additional information. I trust that you're all keeping safe where you are, and we continue to work together to ensure the continuity of the university's operations, and most importantly, we work to continue to serve you, our students, so that you might be able to complete your studies and be on track towards your the fulfillment of your career aspirations. So once again, I thank you. Just to mention, without repeating some of the things we would have said the last time, and without repeating some of the notices that we would have put out, just to indicate that there are a few additional developments since we interacted the last time, significant of which is the publication of discretionary fee payment waivers that has been put out to support you, our students. you would have seen this notice. So, for example, the facility fee for those who would have had outstanding balances that has been waived. Those who did not complete registration, we are allowing you to complete your registration. Enroll students who have not completed their payments. There are special payment arrangements that are still open for you. We have indicated that we will not block any students at the end of semester 2 on account of fees outstanding. We also indicated that with regard to the summer session, payment arrangements are still available, and those who had qualified for rebates on their accounts because they had paid in full, you will still be eligible for those rebates. Those will still be made available to you. So those are the main points in terms of discretionary fee waivers that the university has applied in order to support you or students. Just to remind you that the semester has been extended. Classes will continue online until May 6, and going beyond that point, ongoing assessment, inclusive of grading, will continue until May 22, 2020. And students have up until April 27 to withdraw from a module. Of course, we would have indicated to you, and we still maintain, that we are trying to facilitate your completion. So hopefully there should be no need to withdraw from a module on account of the COVID-19 situation, unless you have other personal challenges that make it difficult for you. Also, we have we have put in place certain protocols to accommodate students who are on hall, who would have left items, personal belongings on the hall. We have made provision that you can come and retrieve these items. And the protocols have been put on the broadcaster and on the students' portal. And so you will be familiar with these. So as of April 28th, and that's Tuesday, April 28th, and Thursday, April 30, different halls will be accommodated for this process of allowing students to retrieve their personal belongings. So those are my introductory remarks, and we are open for your questions. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I have a question from Last Brother 876. I am just worried with the switching of percentages of certain subjects, especially math courses. For example, calculus. It was 50-50 course. Instead, it's now 50-50, she's saying, instead of 25-25-50.
Okay. We note the concern, and we will bring it to the attention of the lecturers to ensure that with the changes in the weightings of the various assignments or pieces of assessment, you will not be at a disadvantage.
On YouTube, I know you mentioned, Mr. President, about fees. Kadeen on YouTube is asking about the fees for summer, if there will be a reduction on these fees.
With regards to fees for the summer, we are seeking to give discounts. We are seeking. We have not worked out in detail exactly what we are able to give just yet, but we are seeking to do that. And as soon as we have worked out exactly what we can give, we will make it known.
Okay. Shamika on YouTube, going back to the dorm students who will be collecting, as you said, later on. a question: will dorm students be given back unused portion of dorm fees? And as you answer that, Mr. President, we may wish to remind those dorm students about who live in Portmore, what arrangement will be made for them.
Yes, thank you very much. To address the matter of Portmore students quickly, we understand that based on the arrangements in Portmore at this time put in place by the government, that some of our students will not be able to retrieve their personal items. And so, as you would have seen in the notice that we have put out, students who are living in Portmore will be accommodated at a later date to come and retrieve your personal belongings. Now, in relation to the question of dorm fees, yes, as we had indicated the last time, the university is looking into the matter, and we will take that into consideration. And so we will advise you as soon as we have determined exactly how to treat with that. But we are aware of the situation, the fact that some students would not have stayed on the halls for the entire duration. And we will ensure that you will not lose because of that.
We did point it to dorm students from Portmore, but we are really referring to all those in St. Catherine, because all St. Catherine is under lockdown.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
Another question: for hospitality students, what plans have been put in place to assist us with the completion of the courses?
Well, as I had mentioned the last time in relation to practical modules, we note that lecturers would have almost completed the requirements by the time the university officially discontinued face-to-face engagement. And therefore, alternative modalities will be utilized in finalizing the acquisition of the required skills and assessing the competence of the students in relation to those.
Thanks, Mr. President. I think that similar question is coming from the dental students. I don't know if we have anything specifically for them.
In relation to the dental students and other clinical students who are engaged in other clinical disciplines, some clinicals and practicals will be deferred until face-to-face modality returns. In the case of finalizing students, we will allow continuation of some of the clinical arrangements based on what is possible with the partners in the clinical environments who accommodate us. We recognize that for our finalizing students, especially in the clinical settings, you'll be required to use PPEs or personal protective equipment, and the environment in which you'll be doing your clinicals is no different from that in which you will be operating shortly as employees. And so, to the extent that you can be facilitated in these clinical settings, we will certainly facilitate and allow you to complete those clinicals.
Next question: retranscripts. Are there any arrangements for students to request transcripts at this time?
Okay, may I ask Mrs. Dean or Registrar to speak to that?
Good morning, everyone. We are in the process of making arrangements for some limited services in the Student Records Office. The lockdown in St. Catherine has really hampered that. We had hoped to start this week, but for all 15 people, about 12 of them live in the St. Catherine area. So our staffing is affected by that. But the other 3 that are not so and live outside of that region, we are trying to open up to give some limited services next week. And so we'll advise as what we'll be doing.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mrs. Dean.
Okay. We're just being reminded by our faculty leaders, students, if you have faculty specific issues, you are also invited to get in touch with the faculty offices where your queries and concerns can be dealt with. I have another question here. It's coming, and this concerns final year students. If they decide not to do summer sessions and they have the qualified GPA, will that affect the class of their degrees they get upon graduation?
Perhaps I'll ask Dr. Johnson to respond to that, to Acting Deputy President.
Students have to complete all the requirements for the degree to which they signed up for, and it's not a GPA matter only. You have to complete all modules related to that course of study. So the answer is no. You'll have to complete at the soonest opportunity that arises.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Can some of the theory modules now being offered be repeated during the summer?
Well, a number of modules are offered not only in semester 2, they are also offered in the summer, based on the general delivery of modules. There are some modules that are offered in semester 1, also offered in semester 2, and also offered in summer. But in terms of those modules that we would not normally offer in the summer, we will consider those on a case-by-case basis, especially where finalizing students need to complete some modules. These we would normally allow to be completed by independent study, and that arrangement is still available.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are a few persons, in fact, several of them, asking, going back to fees for the summer session. Some would want the ECF to be reduced, and just have a general recap on what the fees, the changes are for the summer session.
Well, as mentioned earlier, that has not been finalized in terms of what discounts will be granted. We have given some discretionary fee waivers already in relation to semester 2, and we are looking at giving waivers and discounts for the summer as well. Those have not been worked out, but as soon as we have worked those out, we will communicate that to you. But certainly we take note of the suggestion regarding ECF and so on, and those will be considered in our examination of the matter.
Okay. Tasani saying there are rumors mentioned about SHTM lockers being broken into. Is this a rumor? Do we know anything about it?
We are not aware of any such thing, and we do have security on campus, and so any challenge with respect to security arrangements, we are kept abreast, and so as at this point, I would say rest assured that your personal belongings and lockers are safe.
I'm not seeing a new question coming up at this time. They're really repeating, and there are several persons from the School of Hospitality and Tourism Management, and I wondered if the dean or any academic leader from that school or faculty that wishes to weigh in, just to assure the students that about the practicals and other concerns that they may have addressed in contacting the office.
Sure, and I would invite Dean Sutherland, who I believe is with us via
Hi,
Blackboard Collaborate.
good.
Dean Sutherland, if you are able
Yes,
to address
good
those
morning,
concerns,
everyone.
we'll be
This is
grateful.
Andrew Sutherland, Dean of the Faculty Club.
We are not
She's not
hearing
coming.
Dean Sutherland. I recognize that she's on. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. She seems to have gotten disconnected. Okay. What are the plans being put in place for persons who only have
I cannot be
internship?
accommodated.
Okay. Dr. Sutherland is on?
Okay, the internship, the school believes that many of the facilitators have already withdrawn their support because they're not able to accommodate the students. We're not sure yet what will be possible when things begin to get back to normal. So we are waiting to see. But at this point in time, they're not able to accommodate the students. And we can understand why that industry has been severely by the social distancing protocols that are in place. And so we are really unable to say at this point in time what will be possible.
Thank you very much, Dean Sutherland. So just to note, as you had mentioned, that some clinicals and practicals will be deferred until face-to-face modality returns. And I believe some of these hospitality practical modules will be included in that.
Thanks, Dr. Sutherland, and thanks to you, President. I think we did address this next question, Mr. President, to some extent last week, but maybe we could look at it again. For those, it concerns scholarships. For those who are applying for scholarships, what is the procedure for the requesting the status letter, and how can they proceed in the interim?
Is this Dean?
Yes. Well, a status letter indicates whether or not, basically, if you are a registered student in the university for any one session or academic session. We are suggesting that in the interim, your facilitators, you can all students have access to their portal once you're registered, and you can get your progress report. Am I correct? Yes, you can print your progress report and submit it along with your application. If the external person giving a scholarship, which is to contact us, they may so do, so we can verify the information for them.
Yes.
Tony Ann is trying to find out from us, when will we post the list of modules that will be offered in the summer?
We are seeking to have those posted by sometime next week.
And in terms of new students, what are the plans for accepting students in September?
Okay, persons have already applied. Some 1,200 applicants have been given unconditional offers. That means they are good to go. We have communicated with them. There are others who are awaiting results, and that might be some persons who are doing CSEC or CAPE this summer. Still send in your application, because we might be able to evaluate you. The faculty might wish to do that, but that should not deter you from applying. And for those who have applied or have not submitted their credentials, we have provided an email. The admissions office will be sending that out shortly, where you can upload these credentials so that we can fast track the processing of your documents. But we have given offers already, straight up offers.
Yes.
Annalise is asking, regarding the funds that have been refunded to the accounts, can these funds be applied for? I guess she get the cash, and or can they be used for other things such as graduation fees?
Well, usually cash refunds are not normally given when students have not yet completed the program. Usually rebates and refunds are credited to the next registration period. If you're a finalizing student and refunds are due to you, then certainly these will be made available to you as cash refunds, or certainly they can be credited towards your graduation or something like that.
Thanks, President. I think I'm going to give Annalise an A for thinking she's gone way ahead of us. Will there be a physical graduation November 2020?
We are not in a position to speak to that because we really do not know how the COVID-19 pandemic will manifest itself. At that time, we do hope that things will be back to normal by then, where we can have normal face-to-face interactions. And certainly, if we are back to normal in terms of face-to-face interactions, then we look forward to having our graduation.
And this one we have repeated a few times, but because I see it keep coming, I guess some persons did not connect at the time. It's really about the finals for exam. When will they start? When will they end? That's a question from Henry.
As we indicated, we do not have a discrete examination period. We have ongoing alternative assessments, and these will continue even beyond the time when classes would normally end on May 6 through to May 22.
Shanice Hughes is asking what will be done for the students who are unable to do presentations and other coursework owing to connectivity issues or they have no access, Wi-Fi, data, etc.
We are mindful of that challenge, and our lecturers are mindful of it as well, and we have a slate of alternative assessment possibilities that will be applied. In some cases, for example, students will be able to do video recordings of their practical work to demonstrate their competencies, and these will be assessed. This is just an example of the ways that we are applying to ensure that assessments are fair, assessments are reliable, and assessments match the course requirements.
And a suggestion coming forward that we repost all the broadcast this morning and have the information posted at different points. And I think, Mr. President, we are doing just that.
Yes, that is being done.
If you're a final year student, wouldn't the plans for practical accommodations affect you graduating in November?
Well, as we have mentioned, if you're a finalizing student and your practical requirements are among those that cannot be accommodated for completion outside of a face-to-face setting and that we are not able to provide for, then it might be that your completion will have to be deferred. But as much as possible, we are seeking to facilitate the completion of all your requirements within the specified time.
Career placement. Is the center open and how can they get assistance in light of COVID?
Well, Mr. Cahoon, there's a website, a page on the website for where students can actually send in their queries to the career and placement office. Call in. Somebody's there, Mr. Cahoon, the head of the department, and he's willing to accept your concerns there.
What will be done for students who are unable to contact their lecturers for some subjects to get further information, just general information and completing the
have went to Mr. Drisdale, and he has given his commitment that there will be no charge. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
No problem. Yes, but they still need the books, so as Mr. Steen said.
And our next question is really concerning prospective applicants, prospective students. There are some interviews that were scheduled previously, but in light of COVID, they were cancelled. And question is being asked: what will happen in light of this?
Well, those persons who have been, they would have been contacted by the respective areas. I know for nursing, pharmacy, they would have had those contacts done. So an update will be given to those applicants for those interviews directly from the faculty. I know nursing is one of those areas that definitely there's hospitality that does a lot of interviews. So they will continue to contact them and update them on it.
This is for academia. Why can't practical students get coursework for their assessment?
Dr. Johnson will respond.
I'm not sure what is meant by coursework, but when you're measuring certain competencies, it requires maybe an observation, and having coursework, i.e., a written assignment, may not necessarily prove those competencies, and therefore it just depends. But we will explore possibilities under the alternative assessment guidelines.
I'm sure we answer this. Thank you very much, Dr. Johnson. This question says, could outstanding modules be added and done in the summer semester in spite of being offered now? I guess this is to facilitate those persons who are having severe challenges to have to get online access.
All right. The thing is that the faculty will have to address that, and the aim is for us to be accommodating in every way, and I don't see that as a challenge. But the faculty will have to determine how they approach that, because some students would be easily accommodated while others will have challenges. So it will be on a case by case and situational basis. It will be addressed.
There's a general, a few questions, and I think it speaks to, they speak about when will we get back to face-to-face interaction. So they want us to know what will signal that.
Okay. In relation to that, we take our cue from the government. As you are aware, we have the various regulations and disaster risk management provisions that are published by the government in the Jamaica Gazette. And so that is what specifies the social distancing protocols, the work from home protocols, and the timelines for these, the timelines in relation to curfew hours and things like that. And so getting back to face will be dependent on these arrangements. And so we will take our signal from the government and will make the arrangements internally based on those, and will advise you accordingly.
New student question. I was accepted. I paid the down payment fee. I'm yet to receive a package. Will I get it soon or have access to the portal?
I want to thank that prospective student for being so
we have a job.
for proactive, but we can. No, you would not be able to access the portal until we open for the new academic year. So in terms of you getting that access now, you would not be able to get it. In terms of a package, all our processes are online. So as soon as we get into the mode of opening up for the 2021 academic year, all that information will be sent to you online and through your student portal.
Thanks. What is being done about lecturers who haven't contacted us since the lockdown?
If it is in the interest of knowing what to do with your particular module, I suggest you contact the faculty, and they will address that matter. But if it is another matter for the human resources, they will deal with that accordingly. But you need to contact your faculty.
And what will be done about courses such as community service? I think this goes back to the practical, but the community service may be unique.
Community service, as well as in general cooperative education arrangements, these are based on the accommodation that is available made available by our partners or external partners. And so to the extent that our external partners are able to accommodate you for cooperative education, work experience, and community service, you will be accommodated. But we do note that there are protocols regarding work from home, that is a national position. There are protocols in relation to social distancing, which is a national position. And so, to the extent that our partners can accommodate you or maybe assign work from home arrangements, certainly we will facilitate that.
New students again, Mr. President. For persons who want to do the proficiency test in July, how would that be done?
The proficiency test is being cancelled. That will not be offered this year, but there will be alternate ways of providing your support when it comes to getting into university regarding English and communication subjects. So there is a plan being worked on by the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, and maybe Professor Barrett, if she's on, she could address that.
Professor Barrett.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Yes, I would just like to endorse what Dr. Johnson just said, that
so we're trying to link with Professor Barrett from the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Right now, yes.
Right, so good morning. I am saying that I would like to endorse what Dr. Johnson just said, that the decision has been made to not have the proficiency test this academic year, but all students will be required to do their academic writing, and during that process, students will be guided as to how they would get additional help through the learning center should we find that persons are having challenges. And so the intricacies are still being worked out, but we wanted to have it very clear, made to the decision whether or not we would have the proficiency test. And at this point, we can say that we will not be doing that for this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Barrett. Chantel says, with everything that is happening, jobs being lost, a lot of uncertainty going on, will some fees being adjusted to accommodate those? Well, the question is, will some fees be adjusted to accommodate those who support themselves and not be able to afford it?
Well, in terms of those who support themselves, I would recommend strongly that you seek assistance from the Students' Loan Bureau. And of course, there are possibilities for scholarships and so on, but we strongly urge you to make your submissions to the Students' Loan Bureau.
Thank you, President. I would just like to encourage our students. I keep seeing a number of very personal concerns with faculties that we did say that it's really best to follow up with the faculties for these because these are unique questions and it will not necessarily concern the wider group. Thank you very much. So if you can just follow up with the faculty with those personal and isolated concerns. Um, Flow released their student educational plan. The sites with unlimited access are not relevant to tertiary students. How will students who are unable to access platforms be facilitated? So there are certain access they want. I know the government did make some arrangements. If perhaps if we could explain what exactly was done and where we are with that. Okay.
All right. Well, before Mr. Brown goes, I'd like to say that we have been in contact with Flow, Students Union, as through the Ministry of Education. So we are awaiting updates as it relates to the zero rating for Flow. I know Digital would have sent out a list of zero rating of modules. However, for Flow, we're currently in dialogue with them as well.
Thank you. And to endorse what the student councillor just mentioned, the technical make these facilities become easily accessible to our students and faculty and other visitors accordingly. So that is still something that is being discussed accordingly. Thank you.
And I think Dean Hilton wants to weigh in. I'm not sure if it's this one. Dean Hilton, Faculty of Science and Sport.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. It wasn't in reference to that. I just recognize that there are a number of students who are having questions related to physics and math. Just to reiterate that they can contact the faculty and we'll be able to address those issues specifically.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Physics and math, contact the faculty directly, please. I'm seeing the questions. I think we're running out of questions. I can't believe our UTech students don't have any more questions. It's not possible, Mr. Hutchinson. Uh, but I think there was another question that scrolled up and the screen just went. It had to do with final assessment and what the student was asking that given that some persons may have connectivity issues, can they be given for that final assessment piece? Can they be given a few days to complete that assessment instead of a specific day or time, given the fact that they may have challenges in meeting that deadline?
And the simple answer is yes. And this is what is expected of the faculty, that we should be accommodating, because not all students will have access at a particular and given time. So yes, they should make accommodation, just as if someone missed a class or had issues, this is how we would have to treat that, as in any other situation if it were face to face. So we expect the faculty to be accommodating and give an alternative to the alternative.
Thanks, Dr. Johnson. This question has gone off the screen, but my memory of it, Madam Registrar, it's really concerning the health center for students who may have some challenges, what kind of support can they get at this time? Is the clinic available?
Yes, the clinic is open. The health center is open. Yes. And all registered students would have had their health cards, which they can use at any health provider and pharmacy that will so access. They can access in keeping with the emoluments of the plan. And this plan will take you up to the end of August. If you have lost your card, please contact the Assistant Registrar Student Services, who will direct you as to how you can reconnect with your card.
Thanks. Joel is saying that some of us may opt to reduce coursework loads to reduce some of the pressure, and the university can at least reduce the cost of withdrawal modules being thrown out. If I want to withdraw now because I think up to this point I just can't cope because of what is happening around me, can there be some reduction in the cost for withdrawal?
Well, the withdrawal process has a good intent that you are defending your GPA. So if you are not prepared for it and you look if you should sit the assessment or do the assessment, you're likely to lower your GPA. That's why we had put that in with a cost to when you are going to redo the module. Now, if the university is offering the module this semester and you are able to access it, but there are other extenuating circumstances, there is your faculty board for which you can make an appeal, and that will be looked at. But I'm not sure at this time we could say that will be a carte blanche approach to reduce the costing of the fees.
Yes.
Registration again. Will students pay a registration fee for this semester? We are closed on registration now. Register?
Well, registration closed, I think, the end of July, and late registration ended in early March, I think the second week in March. What we are doing, I think the professor spoke to it already, that persons who selected modules did not and confirmed them and generated a fee. If you are so likely to want to complete your registration, you are able to do so, and you need to indicate that through your faculty and send us your faculty, your dean, an email in writing to say what you want to do. And at the first point of doing that is to pay the fee, and there is a payment rubric out. There is no charge for what they call it, the charges when you do not pay in full. All those fees have been waived. So you have an opportunity now to pay the real fee and come in on to what you want to do. But you must put it in writing. It would not be well for you just to pay the fee and nobody knows what you're paying for to get the modules on, right? Or to complete your registration. The modules are already there.
This is a concerned student for our inventory. What will be done with all the supplies in store that were procured for use in the hospitality lab and other areas for students? I guess it's the perishable ones that he's thinking.
Well, I would defer that question to the Dean of the College of Business and Management, Dr. Sutherland. I don't know if you wish to respond. Are you able to respond to that question?
Yes, I am, Prof. What the faculty has been doing is, wherever possible, is to offload these things at cost to staff members, so that we don't incur the cost of them being spoiled on us. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Sutherland.
Okay.
If this COVID period is prolonged until next year, I imagine next academic year or next calendar year, what plans will the university be putting in place to assist those students who do not have the resources to do online classes?
Well, in terms of the resources, and I would put those resources in two categories. Having devices, one, and two, having access, internet access. We have been exploring possibilities with various benefactors who are willing to assist our students by providing laptops and tablets for those who do not have devices or are unable to afford devices. We have a very robust welfare policy in the university that allows for assistance to be given to students who are in need. We have provided um, at on the donation of various benefactors and also on the university's own account, we have provided assistance to students in terms of cash, in terms of lunch money, in terms of things like those where needs have been identified. And so offering laptops and tablets will be just another form of welfare assistance that we will provide for those who are in need. And so we are reaching out to various benefactors, and some have been responding, and we will make these facilities available as soon as we obtain them. And also, with respect to the second matter, the matter of internet access, as you have heard, we are in dialogue with the providers to have the UTech online platform and the various university websites zero rated so that you can have access at either concessionary rates or free. Yes.
Thanks, Sir President. Access to the portal. Robin, who is assisting me, is saying that several scholarship students who are on scholarship, cannot access the portal. What can be done? I'm not too sure why they can't access it. The student portal. Um, we're not too sure, Robin. If you can indicate what is the problem they may having, I'm not too sure if they're not properly registered or so on. So that would help. But I'm not too sure if the registrar can add anything to this.
That's a unique challenge, but I know the Department of Student Financing has a very robust connection with the recipients of scholarships. That's where the scholarship office lies, and so you may contact them by their email, Mr. Brissett, Mrs. Garcia McLennan, are in control of that area, and Mrs. Pauline Maduri. So we'll forward this concern to them so that they can make any amends. I'm not aware of the portal not being able to be accessed for that information.
Yeah, and another comment on that: some students would have come to us and stated that their passwords have been expired. For that, we have an email. It's tier1support@utech.edu.jm to get your password reset. Oh, so it's tier1support@utech.edu.jm. Yes.
Okay.
Oh. And it's the numeral 1, so it's not ONE, it's 1.
Yes. Number one.
Number one. Number one.
Okay.
Yes.
Question: will the OTL and ODL offices be working to ensure that the online teaching and learning experience improve?
The Office of Distance Learning is currently doing training in the use of online methodologies, and the aim is to increase that capacity of our lecturers. So we hope with usage, it will improve in terms of the quality of instruction. And as you know, that takes time, but the intent is to continue improving.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Johnson. Does the school have a written plan / act for issues such as COVID / disasters in the handbook, and what does it say?
We do have a disaster risk management plan, which we have activated. And in light of COVID-19 and the unique challenges that have arisen in relation to that, we are in the process of reviewing that disaster risk management plan to ensure that any matter that would not have been covered or considered before, we have those matters covered. And as you might be aware, we have established a COVID-19 risk mitigation committee that meets every week to look at issues that arise. And so we ensure that we are on top of the challenges.
Thank you very much, President. And if I may just remind the students that they can check the website for a lot of information, updates with reference to changes in light of COVID-19. So it's on the website. It's also on your e-portal, and you should be getting it via your email, which you will have further communicate as to how to access and activate your UTech email. There is another suggestion coming forward, or a notice. E-counseling services are being offered through various media. The community is also invited to join the unit's online support sessions every Wednesday between 11 a.m. and noon, and that is headed by our counselor, Mr. Counseling Department. Okay. They've been doing a wonderful job for the past several weeks. Is it possible for each faculty to do a town hall meeting for their students? I know some of the deans are planning some interaction, so maybe if we can have a couple deans weigh in on how they are interacting with their students. I don't know if Dr. Young is on. I think he has been having various.
Yes, I'm on.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Faculty of the Built Environment has been in touch with student representatives, and a number of students, apart from the representatives, have been in contact directly with me, the dean, and also with heads of school and some other members of staff. But on Monday at 10 o'clock, there will be a meeting with all class representatives. So each class will be represented in that meeting. And so that's the Phoebe Town Hall meeting.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Young.
You're welcome.
Okay. If we could just revisit just very briefly with login challenges, a couple other come up and say that they really have challenges. Who can they contact?
Tier 1.
Tier 1. Okay. Okay. Well, I think the other few questions that are coming up, it's really a repeat of those that we have really exhausted before and have repeated the information. So I can hand back over to the chair and the president.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Wheeler. And before we close this aspect of our interactions, I would like to invite our deans. If any of our deans have any general comments that they would like to make, whether in relation to their particular college or faculty or general remarks, I would wish to open the opportunity for such comments at this time.
Okay. Professor Barrett?
Okay, are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thanks again. I just, in response to the town hall meeting, I just want to, just in case we have anybody, any student from Fells listening, for them to note that to date, we have accommodated 3 town hall meetings. Our focus has been on the final year students, however, to make sure, just to settle them, because we think more anxiety would be in that department. So we have had 1 town hall meeting with the 4th year students of Sotave, town hall meeting with the 4th year students of BA CAT, town hall meeting with our graduate students, and I was particularly pleased that we had 42 graduate students 46 in our town hall meeting. And so that's the approach that we have been taking. Additionally, we have done a number of communique through our faculty student rep, our previous faculty student rep, Cavell, and now we have not remembering this new one as yet. So I was just introduced to him this week, but it's been a tremendous help in helping us to get to the students. And so I believe we can safely say that we have been 90% or above engaging our students through these media. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Barrett. Dr. Sutherland, I think, would like to weigh in at this time.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Johnson. In the College of Business and Management, we have been using quite a few virtual sources to communicate with our students. We have on our Instagram page, we have posted all the contacts that the students can use if they need to contact especially the Student Affairs Center, where a lot of the things about registration, withdrawal, and all of that. That is now digitized, and our students are using it. We have also set up a chat room where if they need to speak with someone, they can actually do an online chat with someone to have their queries addressed. And so we are using all those, and of course they have access to all the contact information for heads of school, program directors, the dean, the associate dean, and we have been getting lots of queries via those various media.
Thanks, Dr. Sutherland. The students are screaming at me. They're asking for the deans, please comment on the approaches to final assessments. I know our acting president has gone through and to say how we're approaching it, but apparently they want to hear something from you, the deans. Final assessments. I'm not too sure what the peculiarity may be for the different meeting, for the different faculties, or if you prefer to actually detail that in the town hall meetings with your faculty. But we can hear from you quickly.
If I may, Mr. Wheeler?
Yes, please,
Sure.
Dr. Young. Go ahead.
The Faculty of the Built Environment has two schools, the Caribbean School of Architecture and the School of Building and Land Management. There are some very unique approaches to doing assessments. For example, studio for the architecture students and practicum for the land surveying students. And there are a number of internship with associated assessments that are very difficult, but not impossible to do using online facilities. The School of Architecture, I know, I've seen the communique, has been in touch with students about the alternatives, and they have found some creative ways of doing the assessment of studio work online. It requires a lot more work on the part of the staff because they can only accommodate a small number of students, so it's multiple sessions, but they have found a way. As it relates to the surveying students and practicum, which normally happens in the summer, alternate plans are being put in place for when we return, because these are first year and third year modules. They are not final year modules. Generally, as it relates to assessment, there is no face-to-face activity, including no face-to-face assessment. So all the alternatives found are non-face-to-face approaches, and there are diverse approaches which have been discussed at the program level and then at the school level, and then it has been taken to the level of the dean. So we are aware, it's properly documented what each lecturer is doing as an alternative assessment. And this is not the kind of forum that we could give the detail. Perhaps more detail could be provided at the meeting I will have on Monday with class reps. So what the student union representatives could do is encourage the students to have these specific questions related to assessment and maybe a particular module brought to that meeting on Monday at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Young. Dr. Hilton?
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Just to reiterate that certainly the approaches to the assessments are going to be specific for each faculty, but within the Faculty of Science and Sport, we have been engaging with the student representatives, and our approach has been collaborative, in fact, because we have recognized that there is value in integrating some of the suggestions from the students, and we've done that in a number of cases. And so in some instances, we would have replaced the final exam then with a final report. And there are students who have indicated, in fact, that they prefer to do, for example, a multiple choice approach as opposed to the report. And we have been accommodating the student. So I would want to indicate that we have been flexible and will continue to be flexible depending on the situation. Certainly, I want to also emphasize that students can reach out to the deans and they will be able to get specific information related to those modules.
Thanks, Dr. Hilton. Dean Sutherland.
Thank you again, Dr. Johnson. Just to let the students know that in the College of Business and Management, yes, we are doing alternative assessments. And I know many lecturers are still working on these assessments. So students should contact their individual lecturers and they will get an understanding of what it is, the assessment, because all these assessments will be basically specific to the modules that the students are taking. And so we would like to let them know that they should reach out to their lecturers. And I'm sure many of the lecturers, once they have completed, will also communicate with students to indicate what the assessment will entail. On the matter of internship, I'd just like to say one of the reasons we are not overly worried is because the SHTM students, this is a third year activity. And so we shouldn't have many final year students being affected by the lack of facilitation of internship by industry. And so we hope that by the time the year 3 students are required to do it, that we shouldn't have a significant problem.
Thanks, Dr. Sutherland. Faculty of Law, Professor Mahana Mahewa.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. We're
Hello.
hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Faculty of Law, we had a town hall meeting with all the lecturers yesterday. So therefore, final assessment, now we have alternative assessment, take home exam, and our lecturers will give the questions. And also for the quality assurance and other purposes, and also for plagiarism, we have developed a document, declaration. You have to give a declaration, that is where to see the plagiarism. So students, we are distributing the declaration to sign it to see whether anything has plagiarized. Once they have signed it, so if any plagiarism is coming up, then they have to see the consequences. And also the alternative examination, final 50%, we have reduced it to 35%, and it will come to the alternative assessment. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Professor. Some of the students really would like to follow up with the respective deans about timed tests, and I suggest they do so. They have some concern and would like to make some suggestions. So, Dean, please look out for feedback from your students. And I'm going to hand over now, except that I do have someone, and a new student, an incoming student who has been trying to get my attention. The student is accepted, but would like to transfer upon admission here or starting. I think she wants to go into hospitality, and there's no interview, so she's wanting to. But she's accepted to the university.
I would say to that person, congratulations on being accepted. What you can do now, you don't really have to wait until you get registered. You could write to the Assistant Registrar, Admissions and Enrollment Management, indicating that you wish a transfer to another faculty, another course of study. He will take that to the respective area, assess it, and see if you can get that transfer from now. So you really don't need to wait until you have registered for that. You can ask for, but that is subject to the space availability in where you want to go. But you can still send in that request now.
Thank you very much, Madam Registrar. I'm going to breathe a sigh of relief now. They put me on a lot of pressure to get all the questions coming in. And our friend from engineering who is trying to get our attention about industrial hours, he could also contact his dean or his program director because we have spoken before about practicals.
Yes.
I hand it over back to Chair.
I just comment before I ask Prof. Giles to do the closing remarks. Just want to highlight that Prof. Giles noted that students, you will be facilitated. Therefore, please do not jump to withdrawal if it's a case of COVID-19. And I also want to highlight the source at which you get information from. I have been privy to some of the fake news going around. So please, if it's not from the UTech's website, the Students' Union website, please do not follow it. Also, you can contact the Students' Union if there are any assistance needed. And for the town hall meeting, I was told by our deputy president that the student reps are on board, so please can you send them questions to ask the deans. So after Prof. Giles.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hutchinson. And thank you very much, Mr. Wheeler, for facilitating the questions being asked. Thank you very much, students, for sending in your questions. And I just want to say to you, and of course, I want to thank our team from LTSU and the BCAT program. And I want to thank my colleagues, Registrar, Acting Deputy President, and Chief Information Technology Officer. Thank you all for participating in this town hall meeting. And I just want to say that the university continues to look at ways to support you, our students. We want to make sure that we all weather this storm together so that at the end of it, we are all moving ahead in terms of what is important to us. I know that the completion of your studies is important to you, and it is important to us as well. And we are trying to do our very best to support you. And so, as new measures or new initiatives are agreed, they will be communicated to you. So continue to check your student portal, continue to monitor the various lines of communication from the university, as we will continually be updating you. And of course, most importantly, keep safe, continue to abide by the requirements and the provisions that the government has put in place for the country. Continue to practice social distancing protocols, continue to wash your hands, continue to wear masks, continue to stay at home, and continue to work with us in fulfilling your course requirements. So once again, I wish you all the very best and thank you for being a part of this town hall meeting until such time that we have another engagement like this. All the very best to you and thank you.
Many thanks to the senior management, the faculty, and other members of staff, to the Students' Union, to the Learning Technology and Support Unit, and for the BCAT team for putting together this wonderful broadcast. We have done it, we have enjoyed it, and it's immense information going out. We have noted the other concerns that we have not covered, but we will be pushing all of that information through the various media. You've been seeing it a lot on social media. I know you'll probably be tired of some of them, but more and more information will be coming at you. Please check the student portal and, of course, the university website. If you have any other technical support in accessing the facilities, Tier 1 support at utech.edu.jm. And it's TIER, the number 1, support SUPPORT at utech.edu.jm. Please stay in touch.